Member of the Navy is dead tonight after he was reportedly caught in a rip current. It happened this afternoon at College Creek along the Colonial Parkway in James City County.
Rescue crews worked for several hours to find the man's body. They eventually did as friends waited to hear the news. Chinu has been following the story and has more on this tragic situation.
Well, guys, James City County police presumed that he drowned, but are still waiting for an official cause of death. The man was just 25 years old. He was swimming, trying to get to the sandbar, but didn't make it. Witnesses say they saw him and a friend go into the water. The friend screamed for help, but the other man didn't resurface. Through the air and on land.
It's another tragic sequence of events.
Rescue crews worked to prevent something tragic.
The current here in this area is very dangerous and treacherous.
But those currents police speak of took a life Friday.
The gentleman, 25 years old, member of the U.S. Navy.
Michael Gomez.
Then out of nowhere, I just see people running.
Was at College Creek at the same time as that man. He tried to do what he could until rescuers got to the beach.
So I run out to the water to try to see if I feel his friend that went under the water. And yeah, unfortunately, we didn't catch him.
Michael couldn't get the man out. And when Pastor Jonathan DeMonch got to the area Friday night,
it's still a little surreal.
It was just in time to learn the 25-year-old's body was recovered. The man he knew as outgoing and faithful.
It's kind of hard to see that he's gone, but we all know that he's in a better place.
A man who lived his life in a way that's leading those around him to grieve, but turned this tragedy into a way to honor him. And the pastor we spoke to today did tell us the man's name. However, we are not identifying him until law enforcement and the Navy notify his family and officially release his name. Chinu, 13 News Now.
Just a few days ago, we told you about the dangerous conditions at that very beach. Authorities had posted signs at College Creek warning of deep water and strong currents. The signs also warned people to stay out of the water. Last summer, a 23-year-old man also drowned as he tried to swim to the sandbar at the beach. James City County Police tell us since 2006, they have received 6 calls of swimmers in distress at that exact location. 4 of them drowned.
Well, tonight we know the next superintendent of Newport News Public Schools is a well-known educator in Hampton Roads. The school board voted this afternoon to appoint George Parker III as the new superintendent. He's currently the superintendent of schools in Caroline County. Before that, he was a teacher in Virginia Beach Public Schools as well as a principal and assistant superintendent. Dr. Parker received his undergraduate and master's degrees from Norfolk State University and his doctorate from Virginia Tech. School board's pick likely comes as a disappointment for some students. Yesterday we told you that many students were rallying in support of Brian Nichols, the acting superintendent, over the last few months. Students told us they liked the way Nichols connected with them. School board chair told us that Nichols was not in the running because he did not have a doctorate degree. Nichols does have an advanced degree from William and Mary.
There might be a traffic jam early Sunday morning at the Monitor Merrimack Memorial Bridge Tunnel. VDOT tells us there will be a full tunnel closure in the northbound lanes from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. Drivers should take the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel instead. However, one westbound lane at the HRBT will be closed at the same time.
A bar in Chesapeake is willing to bet that it will be packed tomorrow during the Kentucky Derby races.
The Buckets Bar and Grill is the only place around where you can place bets on live horse racing. Robert Boyd stopped by and found out plenty of locals want a bigger wager.
It may feel like Churchill Downs in Louisville, but it's actually Buckets Bar and Grill in Chesapeake. Live horse race betting is back in town for the first time since Colonial Downs closed in 2014.
You have, horse betting and a track in an area for 20 years, you're going to have a lot of interest. So when that just disappeared, there was a lot of pent-up demand for racing.
Buckets is the only place in Hampton Roads, not counting your home computer, where off-track betting is legal. In March and April, they brought in more than $1 million in wagers each month.
I have the itch to gamble, so I got to scratch it. I come over here.
It's intense, the adrenaline for the betting.
We gamble and we drink alcohol.
The Virginia Equine Alliance says the days of standalone betting locations are over. The new goal is to team up with already established businesses to provide the atmosphere, the food, and the TVs.
At any one time, you can see 10 different tracks. Every track has got 10 races, so literally every 2 or 3 minutes, a race goes off.
Norbert Tiemann said he's glad his friends are no longer being kept in the stable when it comes to having fun in Hampton Roads.
A lot of people that don't like to play baseball or golf or whatever, they like to gamble on horses, and this is supplying a little bit of an outlet for that.
With Colonial Downs being sold and their new owners chomping at the bit to reopen, the Hampton Roads horse racing fan base will only continue to gain momentum.
And keep in mind, with the Kentucky Derby happening tomorrow afternoon, Buckets is anticipating their busiest day of the year so far. In Chesapeake, Robert Boyd, 13 News Now.
Tonight, former President George H.W. Bush is out of the hospital. He spent the last 13 days at Houston Methodist Hospital after an infection that spread to his blood. Part of that time, he was in intensive care. President Bush is 93. He was admitted to the hospital a day after his wife Barbara was buried. Mr. Bush has a form of Parkinson's disease and has suffered other medical complications in recent years.
An important changing of the guard for the Navy today, combined with an important announcement. Admiral Chris Grady, on the left, took over as the head of the U.S. Fleet Forces Command. Grady relieved Admiral Phil Davidson, who was assuming command of the U.S. Pacific Fleet. Also today, the Navy's top admiral announced the reestablishment of the U.S. Second Fleet. The Norfolk-based command will return this summer as competition with Russia intensifies. That announcement came from the Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral John Richardson.
And so as we consider sort of high-end naval warfare fighting in the Atlantic, that'll be the Second Fleet responsibility.
The Navy eliminated the Second Fleet back in 2011 as a cost-saving measure.
Part of Hawaii's Big Island is on shaky ground tonight. Authorities say a magnitude 6.9 earthquake hit this evening. It's the largest quake to strike since 1975. The earthquake happened after a series of quakes over the last few days. All this as a volcano erupts, destroying homes and forcing evacuations. ABC's Natalie Brunel has more on the dangerous situation.
A river of molten magma from the Kilauea volcano devouring streets and homes on Hawaii's Big Island.
We all have to understand how traumatic this is for the people being affected.
Plumes of thick smoke and ash billowing into the sky, scorching lava chewing through forests, in some parts bubbling and bursting 100 feet in the air.
You could definitely feel the heat, you could feel the power of the eruption.
Dangerous levels of sulfur dioxide prompting a strong warning from officials who said exposure to the gas poses an immediate threat to life.
All around here is sulfur smell. I think we're one street over from the lava right now.
Nearly 2,000 people forced from their homes. The National Guard activated.
They're really here to support the first responders.
Thursday's eruption came hours after a 5.0 earthquake jolted the Big Island. Friday, the shaking continued with another large quake. Witnesses compared the terrifying sound of the eruption to a jet engine.
My neighbor came running over and he says, "What is that awful noise?" And he said, "I never heard a noise like that." And he's been here for 40 years.
Red Cross shelters are open around the clock. Officials warning residents the area remains extremely unstable.
It is a difficult thing to watch. The lava flow is unpredictable, not exactly certain what course it will take.
Officials say they have no idea when these eruptions might stop and when evacuees might be able to return to their neighborhoods, but they say it could be days or even weeks before it's safe for people to go home. Natalie Brunel, ABC News, Los Angeles.
There is another fee for people who visit the Outer Banks. A new ordinance just went into effect in Currituck County. It requires tourists to pay for a permit that would allow them to park on the beaches there. Currituck County residents need a permit, but there's no cost. Visitors will have to pay $50 for 10 days or $150 for the season. Locals say the permit is necessary.
They had to do something because it was getting terrible down there.
It gets very crowded. It'll be trucks lined up from the beginning where you can start parking.
County officials say the money from the permit is mandated to go toward the beach, whether it's upkeep or keeping it clean. Parking enforcement starts the Friday before Memorial Day and runs through Labor Day.
Williamsburg is in the running to win the title of Best Historic Small Town in America, but they need your votes. This is part of a contest sponsored by USA Today. Williamsburg is in 5th place right now, but you can help change that. You can vote once per day. Voting ends Monday, May 14th at noon. It might be easy to overlook all the history that's right in our own backyards. That's why a $2 million federal grant to preserve the Yorktown and Appomattox courthouse battlefields is a big deal. Yorktown is where the last major battle of the American Revolutionary War took place. This is even more important now because President Trump's budget proposes cuts to the Department of Interior, which is responsible for protecting historic sites.